So I just finished watching the full detail of season 11, episode 10. I'm going to give you guys the full disclosure of this in the follow-up. There's a very important part in here that John Oliver breaks down, which after watching it, after I first started it, I wished I actually had done this before. So here's a couple food for thought for everybody who's dealing with this new Trump upcoming administration, even though it hasn't even fully taken place. Midas Touch. Brian Tyler has actually put something out there where he's like, hey, people, so if you don't know this, go to Midas Touch, check it out. People need to start a petition about pushing Biden on this pivotal moment that he has right now in history with the Biden administration, Kamala Harris. The one act that she can do to protect our country, protect our Constitution, is to speak up and make imperative and crucial measures to protect our democracy. The very fragile democracy, once again, I'll state for the record that we, the American people, are hanging on to by the very balance of thread before the dumpster fire fully takes over our country. That's Donald Trump, his dumpster fire problems, all of his cabinet, everybody else included. In this article, what I'm stating here before we get into this is that we have things to protect us from international and domestic terror. Patriot Act. We used it against terrorists. We have the National Guard, the federal agencies, we have the CIA, the FBI. I think that we can mobilize, and Biden can mobilize, and do more productive things than what some people are thinking that are about the immunity, and who, as the acting president, can do certain dark things, such as taking out a political rival, just as Donald Trump had proposed. I don't think that that's an adequate thing right now in this country. We have a pivotal moment in history, and some of the talk and rhetoric I've seen where people are wishing that Donald Trump would be taken out, that is not what we need. That is disgraceful and despicable. I stand strongly against that. And I hope people reiterate this to people that they know. They need to stop with the whole, we hate the Democrats, we hate the liberals, we hate the Republicans. We're done with that. If we're really embracing this new Donald Trump presidency, and that's what we're in, I'm embracing it, and I'm going to face and call out for exactly what it is. If that's what we're all going to be about, and we're only going to be focused on just MAGA, and MAGA all the way, make America great again, bring back America, take back America, all this stuff. It's despicable that there's even these phrases and sayings. Making America great again, America's never been physically great. It's been unique to its own principles based on the merits of what we stand for. That's what makes America great. It's not the fact that it needs to be great again. It's always been what it has been. I wouldn't say it's great. I wouldn't say it's phenomenal. I wouldn't say it's poor, but it has suffered from its own repercussions in past history. And you can look it up and you can research it. It's nothing that we need to be necessarily beating down like a dead horse, beating over and over again, finding a needle in a haystack just to try to prove one little point over another where it completely comes out completely fruitless. The core reality of the hardcore truth is the phrases that MAGA has created are absolutely disdainful and shameful to even the title of even what I can agree, and I think many can agree, putting a white label on the White House that only it belongs to the white, as that's why it's called the White House. I think that should be changed to the presidential home, the presidential house, the highest land of order, our chief of our country, our commander-in-chief in that sense. That's why I kept repeating chief. The core root principle is that we need to mobilize together and unify together, all parties collected, including MAGA, and those who can't be a part of that, you guys are going to be singled out. You guys are going to be out on your own. There's more people in this country that remember 9/11, the attacks against our citizens, the deaths of so many people who died, innocent people's lives, all the wars, all the attacks, all the conflicts that America's been embroiled in, the conflict that we're not happy with, the fact that we're in right now with the Middle East, with Iran and Israel, and even furthermore with all the money and funding we're creating. Okay, well, what about all that money that we have known that the military spends, right? We already know that they do that. And are we happy about that? Oh, yeah, sure. Because we care about our boys when they're overseas. Of course. We care about our men and women. It's more than just our boys. How about the reality that we're talking about now allowing, because January 6th, this is an important one to remember, that wasn't actually a full insurrection. Insurrection is the form of a full takeover of a government. That was just a violent mob, a violent, rhetoric. And anybody that says that it's an insurrection is spewing some of the lies that has been talked about. Every time I hear them talk about it being an insurrection, an attempt or failed an insurrection, it painfully disdains the reality that it's still the polarization of the Democrats attacking the Republicans and MAGA, and MAGA specifically, and then polarizing them to create more comeback and follow back and hate and inside and out and all of this rhetoric that just creates a painful reality. We have to stop with the hate and the division. Enough is enough. We have powerful, conducive laws in our country, powerful, immobilized acts, and passed legal law that can protect us from the dangers from within, the whole called enemy from within that Donald Trump talks about. Daggone, practically talking like Mussolini or Hitler. You know, that's the phrases Hitler used. Those were all rhetorics that were talked about. Let's talk about this, okay? The episode in here covers a very good detail that I wish that we talk about with the police in, California got in big trouble because they're using Lego mugshots, okay? Check that out. A little laugh for you after everything I just unveiled, okay? A little laugh. All right, try to make this shorter because my last segment turned into like 21 minutes. So I deleted that video, sadly. This is the revised version. It's going to be a heck of a lot shorter. Here we're getting down to the fact that the police are getting bashed for using Lego people's faces on their mugshots, and now they're getting hit with all the backlash on that. And this was an older article. Now, getting into a more important relevant factor that John Oliver discusses in this article from last week tonight. This is season 11, episode 10. Public libraries, for whatever reason he calls it public libraries. I didn't hear any talk of public libraries. This is what he was covering about Donald Trump having a rough week in light of what was going on with the Joe Biden administration. And I will not stress again, as he's about to dig into that right now, I will not stress this again. We have the Patriot Act. We have the act that protects us against international and domestic terrorism. The insurrection that people like to label January 6th as is not an insurrection. People need to start spreading that information. It's not an insurrection. This is not about saying, oh, we say that it wasn't an insurrection because we're Trump sympathizers. We're sympathizers to those who attacked the Capitol, and we don't really care about the police that died. No, that's not what this is about. We do care about the police that died. We do care about American lives that died. We care about democracy as American people because the people that did those acts should be in jail. And you remember something, Donald Trump has already made promises to literally remove a pardon, which if you don't know anything about a pardon, to do a pardon, you have to admit guilt. So therefore, that proves in fact itself that these people are guilty. We need to mobilize. We need to have Joe Biden and the Kamala administration, if anything, if they don't do this, it's going to be on us. It's going to be on us, the American people, because at that point, Kamala Harris better never come back, because if she and Joe Biden don't do this, it's up to us, the American people. We have the Patriot Act. We have the CIA. We have the FBI, we have NSA, we have so many different organizations that protect our country. We have constitutional values and merits and political high-ranking officials that protect this value. If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won't do this to protect our country, to bestow it from before the Donald Trump administration takes over and the dumpster fire takes over our country, which we got to remember, we got to make sure that that dumpster fire doesn't tip over and start burning us, okay? We have to stand up and we have to do what's necessary. We have to start motivating young minds, young people to get involved and get into these groups, because there's so many groups out there fighting the cause, that fight for kids, fight for the future, fight for the little people, but yet they can't do the bigger fight. So it's going to take more people to do this. If the dream is that we were going to have a Democratic leader take over from this horrible dream of the Republican Party and the MAGA, well, that's not the reality that America wanted. America wanted a dumpster fire. They wanted the majority said that that's what they want. So now we're dealing with it. We're in this together. We cannot be divided. We cannot be hating and pointing blame on the other side. That's what we've been doing all this time throughout all of history. If you don't know anything about the Democratic and Republican Party, the Republicans used to be the Whigs way back in the 1800s, 1700s. Used to be the Whigs versus the Democrats. That's a fact. Look it up. The party was created by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. James Madison was the last officially founding father of our country. He enacted, as a pupil of Thomas Jefferson, from a well-documented biography that I read, a well-developed book, well-written by the guy. He bestowed a sympathy and empathy for the French. He empathized with too many causes that Thomas Jefferson got him involved with, and became his pupil. That would be James Madison. Now, James Madison made sure to enshrine that Thomas Jefferson's party, the political party for the what became eventually what we know today as the two-party system, that's the system that was bestowed way back in the 1700s. And that may surprise you. Look it up. James Madison did help create the Whig Party, which later became the Republican Party, and the Democratic Party. If you don't know that, check it out. It's a fact. And that party system, it's always been about pointing fingers to the other guy on the other side of the aisle and blaming to the other side. That's why independents and green parties and smaller parties have never made any more of a difference of a tiny blip in history of any percentage of vote. That's why they don't get the vote. It's always Republicans versus Democrats. That's the way the system's been. That's the way it's been set up all this time. So what do MAGA want now? They want their own party. They want their own division. They want to be separate from this Republican side, this Democratic side. Well, here's the danger, and here's the reality. We're now going to be in the MAGA world, okay? MAGA all the way. Men, women, children, whomever voted for this guy, those who are regretting this, this is what we're in now. This is the reality. So Fall Out Boy did a recreation of the song We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel. And going back before that, see, I'll get this for you. The definition of liberal, the true definition of liberal versus libertarian, and I'm a libertarian, not a liberal. Show you guys what that is. Here's the question right here if you don't know this. Is liberal on the right or on the left? Check that out. It means limited government. A libertarian prefers, well, okay, so that's sorry, that was for liberal. So we look up the definition of libertarian, right or left. Check that out. Pro-freedom, that means for freedom, and anti-authoritarian philosophy. There you go. I'm going to source the description in there for you guys since I used Wikipedia. I'm going to make sure I take the definition of that, share that, put that in the description. A very important thing to remember in my next segment is going to be all about the unveiled part of this section of John Oliver's next segment that I'm on. So stay tuned. Mcluvin News, next post, you're going to probably be a little bit surprised, but there's some unveiling options of eye-opening awakeness to be covered. Thanks so much for watching me on this segment portion of Mcluvin News, always supporting you, the American people, of every nationality, of every ethnicity. We, the people, we are now in charge of this dumpster fire that's coming soon in 2025. Thanks for watching.